Welcome, everyone. Just before we get into questions, I think it's important that we, as an organization, I think we should congratulate Brooke Henderson, I think, on being the Canadian that has won the most professional victories on the PGA, LPGA. I think it's a great accomplishment from someone from Ottawa.
Yeah, Pierre, let's start with Duclair. Why sign him? How do the negotiations go? And what are you hoping to get from him next season?
Well, we're happy to sign Anthony. I think when we got him in the trade from Columbus, he's someone that showed that he's got the scoring ability to provide goals for us. He's got a good offensive game. In my conversations with DJ seemed to, or did want him on our hockey team. He feels he can be an asset that can help us win games. And DJ was looking forward to working with him as far as making him a more complete player.
Drafting out of the 19th spot, what are you looking for there, and is there a possibility that you might move up from 19?
Yeah, so first part of the question, Wayne, is that I know it's a boring line, selecting the best player available, but we're going to select the best player available, someone who's the best player for our team, whether, picking 19, not sure the player will play for us this year, but we would, in an ideal world, he could play for us maybe next year or definitely in 2 years from now. When we're looking at is, with our depth at the goaltending position, most likely we're not going to take a goalie. But we think we can get top 6, 7 forward with some offensive ability, or top 4 defenseman with some offensive ability too. I think the way the game has gone and what we saw, transitioning the puck is very important. So when it comes to that, that's the type of player that I think our fans can get excited about. When we're going to be selecting at 19. But at the same time, multiple discussions, more about moving up than moving down, because we have pick 32 and 44, and we're one of 4 teams that have 3 picks in the top 44. And I think in this draft, having as many picks as you can in the top 2 rounds is really something key.
What kind of depth do you expect there to be around that pick? And how much of a list of names do you have when you get to that number 19? There's a lot there.
Yeah, actually, I think it's a very volatile draft. Everyone has a pretty good idea who's going to go 1 and 2. Our scouts have a grouping of about 3 to 8 or 9, and then from 9 to 19 could be a lot of volatility. And that tells us that we could end up with a really good player. And that maybe opens the door to moving up, maybe staying in our spot. Us having pick 32 and 44 and having numerous picks in the next 2 drafts. We got 3 seconds next year. We've got ours, Columbus, and Dallas. There's a possibility we'll have 3 seconds in 2021 with ours and Columbus and someone else's. So at the same time, when you have that number of second-round picks, and a lot of good players have come out of the second round, I think it really gives us an opportunity to do a lot of good things for this organization.
How many names would you have?
Oh, we have a lot of names. Bruce, you know what? Our scouts are really high on probably 18 guys, and we know how the draft goes, and we know we're going to get one of those 18.
Not to give away state secrets, but would you be willing to trade some of those picks in 2021 for roster players that fit your timeline?
It depends who they are. It depends how they fit. It depends their age group. It depends how they would fit on our team. I think at the same time, we want to make sure we grow and develop as a team. We want to make sure that any player we would acquire would help us grow as a team, whether it's a veteran guy that might be on the last 2 or 3 years of his contract, or whether it's a 28-year-old that can still help us for another 3 years if he's under contract. So I think you've got to look at all situations and scenarios. Mark asked about Cody Ceci, and I said, we've had talks with JP Barry, and they've gone along pretty well, we feel. Whether it's a short, medium, or long-term contract, we think that Cody under DJ and our assistant coach, Jack Capuano, can grow into being a better defenseman, and we'll see where that leads us. What's been really interesting about DJ, well, first of all, his personality. I don't think he's had a bad day in his life. He comes to the rink. He's really excited about, really excited about being the head coach of the Ottawa Senators. And there hasn't been any requests. Obviously, we know as an organization we can't have 23 younger kids in the lineup. We know that we need to surround our younger players are good core younger players, whether that's Kachuk, Shabbat, Whites. We know we need to surround them with some quality veterans. And, as we're moving along, as we're growing as a team, as we're developing our team, as we're getting strengthening our team, we know that we're going to have to add, whether it's one or two older guys that we know are high character people, that they know what it is to be a pro through the good and the bad. I think that might be something that we would be looking at. But as far as specific requests, none. As DJ's alluded to, he's going to meet with a lot of people in Vancouver to add our two other coaches. The guy that's going to probably help the forwards and have power play and also an eye in the sky. So he hopefully by July 1st or so we'll have our full coaching staff day.
Pierre, have you given any indication to your unrestricted free agents what you're going to do there? And the other part of that question is you talked to Lisa about adding character. You also need character that can play, though.
Mm-hmm. No, I think, Bruce, that's a great point. We've let Magnus Pajärvi know that we won't be making him a contract offer, and we're still discussing with Oscar Lindberg and Brian Gibbons. And you're right, Bruce. We do need character, but character that can play in the role that we put them in to make sure that this team has success.
A question about Mike Condon. Are you waiting to see his health? Is that what this is about in coming to training camp?
No, Ken, I think when you look at it, last year we were looking for goalies, and we said to ourselves that we're never going to go through this scenario again. And right now we have obviously Craig Anderson and Anders Nielsen under contract. We also have Mike Condon. I think probably by the end of the week we'll have something done with Marcus Hogberg. We have Philip Gustafsson, and we have Joy DeCourt. We know we have three young goalies that we all feel have legit chance to be good NHL goalies. But at the same time, we can't forget that Craig Anderson is 38 years old, if I'm not mistaken, or 37 if I'm 38. Sorry, I apologize. And Condon's health. If we would have clinched in Belleville, he would have played at the end. But we weren't going to throw him in, having not played since November. So we think he's healthy. We think he's ready to go. But at the same time, we have to make sure the organization is a good spot. We don't want Philip Gustafsson up here or Joey DeCourt up here this year. We want him developing, and that's important for our brand, for our team, to make sure that we put these younger players in situations where they're going to succeed when they're in the NHL.
What happens when you get to Vancouver now? Where do you? What's the process, and how many prospects will you sit down with?
When we get to Vancouver, I know our chief amateur scout Trent Mann has set up some interviews. The good thing is that the staff, including myself and Peter, met with all the guys that we consider that will be first round candidates, which is important. And most of them we met with that could be pick 32 or 44. So we're going to have a few meetings, but most of the work is done. I think the most important thing when we get there is settling in for the week, because it's going to be these next 14 to 20 days are very crucial for us moving forward, for our growth and at the same time showing our commitment to our fans that we're going to be that we're headed in the right direction. Don't expect us to do anything that's irrational. We have a plan. We're going to follow it. It's been the plan all along that at this point in time of our venture, we're going to add one or two quality veterans, whoever that might be, via trade or via free agency. We had last week we had great pro scouting meetings where the guys probably stayed an extra 2 days, if I'm not mistaken, compared to other years where we really focused on whether it was via trade or via free agency, making sure we get the right guys. And obviously those pro scouts that have numerous contacts are making sure that if we're going to add anyone, that they're going to be the right people for the right fit. And at the same time, DJ sat in those meetings. We had Troy Mann come in from Belleville to sit in on those meetings, just to make sure that how coaches feel about players. And, we all have people that we know around the league to make sure that we're going to bring in the right people if we do bring people in.